Right, good morning, good afternoon. Thank you everyone for joining us today. My name is Casey. I'm an implementation specialist here at Brokerment. Super excited to be here, show you guys the new release of our eSign 2.0. Want to show you guys everything you need to know about the recent eSign updates in Brokerment. Some of the things that we're going to be covering today is going to be our new cover sheets, draft documents, highlight autofill information, auto-populate signer email and search, emailing executed documents to all signers, new notification types, improved select template UI, rasterization account, and we're going to go over the warning you might see go to correct domain. I'm here to kick off this webinar with us today is going to be Frisco Doyle, our other implementation specialist. Hello, Frisco.
Hi, everybody.
I do want to let everyone know we may be having some questions pop up on your screen throughout the webinar. Feel free to answer those polling questions. Any feedback is always greatly appreciated. Another exciting thing we want to tell you guys all today is everything being reviewed today. All functions are available in all 3 subscription plans, Simple Start, Standard, and Enterprise. You'll notice we do have a Q&A button down there at the bottom of your screen. I want you guys to feel free to ask questions at any time. We'll try to get those answered. We will also have a Q&A session at the end of the webinar.
Let me go ahead and get this new window up for you guys. All right. So the very first thing that we're going to start off with here. Oh, give me one sec. I seem to be having an issue. There we go. All right. So the very first thing we're going to start off with here is our cover sheet. So what we've done is we've updated the signature process to have a cover sheet. Your cover sheet has a list of all the fields listed in the documents that were selected for each signature. Now, what this means for you guys is from now on, you'd be able to initiate the new eSign process, verify information listed on the cover sheet, and then add or update any of that information. The system shows document preview, and then we'll give you the option to start your e-signature process. Now, this is important because the system can now auto-populate information to the cover sheet with transaction data. This guarantees data is correct and, of course, saves time on entry. So we'll start off by using our form here. Now, this is a window a lot of you are familiar with. Now, before I jump straight into the cover sheet, there has actually been an update to the way this will look for you guys as well. So what will happen is when you go to use forms, you'll now get 2 tabs after we have this set up for you guys. The first tab, Company Library, is going to show all of the templates and forms that were created using the older style of forms creation. Your secondary tab will have all the folders and forms inside of it that were created with the new cover sheets. You'd simply select the one that you wanted to use for that item on that checklist and then go with it from there. So for here, we're going to go ahead and start with our form. We'll click next, and here is our cover sheet. Now we can see one of the first things up here is our contacts. So now we've got the ability to auto-populate some of your contact information. Not only can we auto-populate who signs the document, but we can also auto-populate some of that client's information, their name, their phone number, even their address to the document. Now, this helps eliminate some of that extra data entry time and minimizes our chances to have errors in our document. Now, as we go through, we can see all the fields that were selected for auto-populate, and we can change any of this as necessary. So if our purchase price changes from $275,000, down to $200,000, that's just fine. Now, keep in mind that this cover sheet is for the document. That means any changes that we make here do not affect our transaction. So if I do change the purchase price only on this cover sheet, I'll have to go back afterwards and change the transaction itself. So as I go through and I update all this information and verify what's already here, I can click next if I'm ready. Now, if anything does happen to come up and I need to back out of this, I can simply click the X and go back. Now, this brings us to one of our next updates I'm going to talk about now is our drafts. So now if I have to back out of this form, I can come back 4 minutes, 4 hours, even 4 days later, resume this process, and any of the changes that I make will stay. Now you guys don't have to keep, do everything all at once. You can kind of break up and gather additional information if that's something that you need. Now, before I finish with this cover sheet, do I have any questions about it?
I don't think we have any questions so far, Frisco.
All right, well, if I don't have anything about the cover sheet itself, we'll go ahead and start the creation here. I do. Can you modify the template for the cover sheet? So the information for the cover sheet and how it's created. So I'll go over that now. So to create one of these mapped forms, as we call them, get with your implementation specialist. You'll provide them with one of the forms or a few of the forms and go over exactly what needs to be changed and how it needs to be set up. Once we get that information from you, we'll actually take those forms in and map everything for you. Now, when it's all said and done, we'll give it back to you. We'll make sure any of the information's good. If, for example, you want an additional field to show up here as auto-populating, this is not something that you can just do on your own. Just relay that information back to your implementation specialist, and then we'll take care of it on the brokerment side. Does that answer your question, Jorge? All right, so are you able to add more than just one buyer and seller? Yes, you are. So the way this form was set up, we set it up with only one buyer and seller. Now, in terms of roles, which is what we're traditionally known to call these as here, you can. When we get this form created the first time, when you pass that information to your implementation specialist, yes, we can set up as many buyers or as many sellers that are necessary. And just like the older way of doing forms, which we'll see here, we can also, if we don't need those roles, we can exclude them just like we used to be able to. Not really. Okay. So your original question was, are you able to, no, sorry, can you modify the template for the cover sheet? So it just seems like a lot of information to input on a cover sheet for electronic signature request. So for this demonstration, yes, because that's the way that this particular form was set up. Not every form needs to be set up with all of this information. We will pull only exactly what you ask for. So if you want something as simple as the property address, the price, and maybe the buyer's contact, and that's all you want to be on this form, then that's all we'll put on this form. All of this additional information and stuff here, these are the items that were requested for this particular form, kind of just to show you uh, how much we can do with this cover sheet. Does that help? Okay, awesome. So I don't see any additional questions here. I do see one in the chat from Mark. Will you be showing adding a new form, mapping it to create a template? So I will not be showing that because that is not something that you guys as agents can do. You can't really map this process. This is more of a behind the scenes coding type deal. So that's something that we'll take care of on our side. So now that I've got all my information here, we'll go ahead and click our next. Again, it will just verify the roles that are included here. I can drop any roles that I won't need. Jorge popped up with, is HelloSign different? I've been using the eSign up until last night and the system hasn't changed. So HelloSign isn't necessarily different. It's some of the ways we're going to go about this. So you will still have the ability to create a HelloSign package from scratch and drag and drop your fields as you like. These changes are coming to creating templates for HelloSign. So the way creating templates for HelloSign used to work, it was the same exact way as if you start a document from scratch. You'll pull up the form, you'll drag and drop fields, and now it's set. Now we're just changing the way we go about creating that more for consistency purposes. So you have one contract, and instead of each agent creating their own form version of it slightly different, now we can use one of the library forms that we have set up this way and make sure that every form's the same way every time. Does that help, Jorge? Mm. So I see an anonymous question here. I'm with GLVAR. Are your forms like the RPA complies with GLVAR forms? So if you're asking in a basic sense, will these forms comply with what you guys are currently using? In terms of compliance, there's no difference between what we're doing now and what we've been doing with eSign in terms of, compliancy. All we're doing is expediting the way information appears on the form. So instead of, always having to drop a text box here, now the information will auto-populate here. Same information, same place, same style, just different way to go about it. So there won't be any changes to compliancy. I hope that answers your question. All right, and I see the only thing I see would be an issue with the size of the form. If you set up a template on a form taken directly from CAR form, those fields will be set up based on the size of the document. However, you take the same form and scan it. I'm not entirely sure what you mean by size. Are you meaning like file size, like, megabytes, or are you talking about like field size? So as we clear up what you mean by that, I see, can you describe what you mean by the two tabs on the different forms? Is the second tab of forms directly from the state? Okay, so what I mean by the two forms is when you go to select which form you're going to use, you'll get these two tabs. Your company library are all the forms any of the forms that were created prior to the mapping. So I mean the old school, drag and drop fields. Any of those forms that your brokerage has already created will be located in here. The additional tab will be any forms that are created using our eSign 2.0, using this new mapping process. So that's the only difference between the two tabs. I hope that answers your question, Ryan. All right, so using hello, Lori asks, so using hello sign with the drag and drop is not going to change. No auto populating of contacts, etc. Correct. And the reason being for that is, so I can explain this, is our cover sheet is something that we're controlling. We've created that, we're controlling the full process of this. When you use the drag and drop, like you're creating a document, an eSign package from scratch, that process is controlled by HelloSign. So HelloSign doesn't really operate in terms of auto-populating contact information, but when we do the cover sheet, we can control what information gets pulled in. So I hope that answers your question, Lori. All right, Hannah said, maybe I missed this, but is there a cover sheet for each individual form? So that's a good question there. So if I'm going to select forms and say I select multiple forms and each one of these forms, would have their own cover sheet, but when I create this package of each one of these forms, it'll give me one cover sheet with all of the fields that I've requested to be auto-filled. So it's, I won't have to do one cover sheet for the first part of this package and another cover sheet for the second part of the package. If I'm selecting multiple forms for one eSign package, I will get one cover sheet covering all the information. Hope that answered your question, Hannah. Lori said, yes, but I'm not happy about it. And I do apologize for what we can and can't control with HelloSign. That's kind of just the way they do it. So hopefully this new cover sheet process will kind of help to work around some of the limitations that HelloSign has by kind of implementing our own steps there. Now, Jorge came back with the form will shrink, but the fields will not match. So give me 1 sec, Jorge. Let me reread all of your comments up here so I can kind of put them together into one total thing. Okay. Issue the size of the form. If you set up a template on a form taken directly from CAR form, Those fields will be set up based on the size of the document. However, you take that same form and scan it. Okay, so we are talking about fields based on the last bit you dropped for me. So this cover sheet update portion will not apply if you're scanning in documents and creating forms from scratch that way. The size of the print area, not the size of the document. So yeah, like I was saying, if you're scanning in a document and you're creating an e-sign package that way, that process is not going to change. Kind of the same thing I was telling Lori. That process won't change if you're creating an e-sign package from scratch using a document you've scanned in. If you're creating an e-sign package using our new mapped forms, that will eliminate, you won't have to worry about size of the documents and fields not fitting, because everything will be configured to that form. So everything will fit the same way. But yes, if you are scanning in a document and creating a form that way, our cover sheet's not going to cover that portion of it. So give me one sec. Let me make it through the rest of these comments. All right. So I got a new one here from Brent. I'm located in Arkansas, and we use Form Simplicity for our forms. They are serialized in Form Simplicity, and the serial number changes with each revision and save to the form. As a result, we're unable to use forms in Brokerment. So will these updates have any impact on us, or are we still stuck uploading the document into Brokerment and then manually creating an e-sign session in the HelloSign interface? So for that, the same way that you guys are uploading this form into Brokerment and then creating an e-sign package, instead, what your admins can do is they can upload that document into your company's library, and then we can use that document and map the information to it. The same way that you're creating the e-sign package in HelloSign now, we can change that process and create a form template in your document library instead. So then you won't have to constantly update a new one. The only time you would have to do that is, yeah, if they do release a new version of a form for your state, then uploading that document one time, giving us the notification saying, hey, they've changed this field, can you remap it for me? Then yes, we would be able to cover that remapping, get it back to you guys, and then you guys are, rolling again. Hope that answers your question, Brent. That doesn't help with buyers. Over 75% of the time, the disclosures that need to be signed are scanned into the system. So that doesn't make sense. All right. This seems like more of a brokerage specific thing for you, Jorge. So I'd love to cover more of this kind of one-on-one with you. So if you don't mind sticking around afterwards, we can definitely cover some of the stuff that's going on for you here. Ryan asks, can Brokerment receive the forms to map directly from the state if I am in North Carolina versus uploading the forms one by one? So we are currently trying to work with a lot of states right now, trying to get access to all of their state forms, vice having our clients provide them to us. It's a tedious process. It is a work in process. So as we're going through with this, until we do finalize things with these states, we will need you guys just to, just upload it. And I mean, that's as simple as, drag and drop it, upload it, and then everything that you've got in, we can work with it from there. But until we finalize everything with the states that we're working with, we will have to get that document from you. All right, so I'll go ahead and continue on with what I got here. So once we're done, verifying the information that's up there, we'll click next. And now we'll see one of the updates that we have released that a lot of people have seen already, and that's the highlighting of information that has been auto-populated into the system. So we see that any of the information that we pulled, we pulled my contact, we pulled his address from his contact card, as well as the other information that we filled out, and it'll all show up in blue. So again, if you're using HelloSign now, this is something that you're already kind of used to seeing, all this blue lettering. That's not going to change. And we'll kind of, make sure that we keep this information steady so that you guys can definitely see what you've made onto here. Now, once we're done with all this, we can go ahead and click send, and that document will go ahead and create. It'll send out to the respective parties. Now, this brings us into the next update that we've made, and that's we're so used to sending an e-sign package out and seeing the status change from uploaded to awaiting signatures. Well, we've taken this a step further, and we've created new notification types. So if you come into your notification window, you'll see we've created signature request viewed, document partially signed, and document signed. So now, as long as these are on, you'll get an immediate email notification as soon as anyone that you've sent that document to even opens that package. If you've sent it to multiple parties, as soon as any of those individuals also sign it, say your buyer signs it, you'll get an email letting you know he signed it. And if your seller then signs it, you'll get an additional email letting you know he signed it. This way, you don't have to go back into the transaction just to track what's going on with that package. And finally, we've got our document signed. And that's once all parties have signed this document, you'll get a final email notification telling you all parties have signed. But there's also more. We've also introduced an automatic email of a fully executed document. So now, when an e-sign package has been signed by all parties, now that fully executed document, along with the existing notifications, will be sent out. So now your buyer and seller will receive a copy of the document that they signed. Also, kind of saving you time so you don't have to go back into the system and do it manually. Now, before I move on, I do see another question coming up into the chat here. Updates have been covered already in terms of, what's easily seen. I do have, just a few more to go through, and that's it. So, we'll wrap this up pretty quickly here. So one of the another thing that you may not see very often come up is rasterized. So now we have the ability to save PDFs as rasterized PDFs instead of vector PDFs. Now, before any of you guys start asking what's the difference, basically, when some documents for certain brokerages are signed, they come back as a very large file size. And what we've done is we've changed the way that some of these PDFs will sign by request. So if you are a brokerage that suffers from signed documents coming back with an extremely large file size, 20 up to 100 megabytes after signing, simply get with your implementation specialist and let us know. We'll do some behind the scenes work and we can get those file size automatically reduced. So now that every time you save your PDF packages, they'll only come in, as kilobytes, to 6 megabytes, or a lot smaller and more easily sent out in emails. Now, the final update that I'm really going to go over with you guys today is going to be more for our white label clients. So now, if you go to use eSign and you're not signed into your white label account, you can come in, we'll go to a document, say we're going to e-sign this. If you're not signed into your white label account, you'll get a new pop-up, e-signature not available. Now, this isn't telling you e-sign is down. Instead, it's telling you that you need to switch over to your white label to proceed. You can simply click the link or click the button proceed to my white label. Everything will refresh and you'll be placed in your white label account. Now you can go back to the transaction, go to e-sign, and you can e-sign it now with your white label so that your company's information is, processed accordingly with your white label restrictions. So that covers it for all of the major and minor updates that we've done with e-sign. Do I have any lasting questions about anything that I've covered already? Now, we will stick around, for a few more minutes while everyone kind of clears out their last bit of questions that they may have. For those of you that need to go and don't have anything else for us, again, thank you for attending and taking times out of your days to sit here with us and kind of go over what's going on. We really appreciate it, and take care, everyone. For those that still have questions, we'll be here for a while longer to go ahead and go over those.
Hey, thank you a lot, Frisco, for going over all those exciting new updates. As Frisco said, We will stick around. Feel free to ask any questions in the Q&A. If anything comes up that we can't answer here over the webinar, just reach out to our support team at any time via phone or live chat, and go ahead and get those questions answered through there as well. So Hannah asks, we will have to manually remap documents that are already done in our library to implement the new cover sheet process.
So you guys won't have to necessarily have to do anything. If you want to implement the new cover sheet process for any documents that you've already done, all you have to do is just let us know. Let us know, hey, I've got a document I've created already, but I'd like to use this new e-sign, this new cover sheet function. Once you let your implementation specialist know that this is what we want to do, he'll go over with you that form to kind of make sure that he understands exactly what you need, and we'll take care of everything else. We'll take care of all the mapping for it, and then we'll give it back to you ready to go. So you guys won't have to spend your time to manually go through and redo all of those documents.
So Brent asks, how do you upload and submit a form for templating? And just so I understand, I'll be able to upload a new document with updated serial from Form Simplicity and then apply the new template to that document for signing.
So how do you upload and submit a form for templating? So in your company's library, you can simply come in, upload a document, and once you've uploaded this document to your company library, then you can then reach out to us, let us know you'd like that document mapped. We'll go over that document with you, and then we'll get that created. If a new revised copy of a document comes out, simply upload that new revised copy. Now you won't be able to reapply that template to the new document, and that's mostly because if that document does change, we won't be able to recognize those changes. So instead, reach back out to your implementation specialist, let them know, hey, we've got a new revised copy. Let us know what changed from the first copy to the new revision, and we'll make those changes for you. Hope that answers your question, Brent. Lori said, I was hoping for updates. The hello sign is not all our docs will be coming from the library. And that I do understand. I hate to kind of reiterate it again, but that portion there will just be hello sign as a company. We're doing everything on our part to kind of make our clients as happy as possible by kind of going around and mitigating some of the issues that you guys have with hello sign. And that's part of the reason why we're doing this new template system. Hopefully we can get you guys to kind of get on board with the new templates. We'll do the work for you. That way we can get around some of the issues you guys have with hello sign. Ryan, who is spearheading the state forms process? I'd like to find out the progress from North Carolina. Uploading one by one violates copyright rules. We can get with you offline about that. That would, Casey, if you don't mind, just take a note for us real quick about talking to Ryan about the state forms.
Absolutely.
Is there a limit to how many forms can be remapped? There is no limit. You just let us know what you need and we'll get it done for you. What we will say is the first time that we map forms for you, we'll probably ask for, 3 or 4 so that we can map them for you and you can look over them first and make sure that, things make sense into the way you like it. After we make it through those first handful of forms, then we can proceed with mapping the rest of them. All right, hope that helped you out, Hannah. Brent, the only thing that changes is the serial number for each form. If the only thing that changes for each form is just the serial number, then that's okay. Just let us know, hey, I've uploaded a new revision. The only thing that changes is the serial number. We'll say okay, and then we'll apply the mapping rules to the new form for you. So we won't have to re-go over anything if the only thing that's changing is the serial number. All right, well, we really appreciate you guys coming out and joining us here for this e-sign webinar. We appreciate all the really great feedback and questions you guys have had for us. And, we really hope these features help you guys out. Well, without further ado, have a good day, guys.